Ready?
2, 1, ready.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jovan and Sasha, co-founders of PhoneSales.com. And here we are. It's been a while that we've been on YouTube. But we wanted to record this podcast episode with you guys and just talk a little bit about why we actually started a sales agency. And I think this is going to inspire a lot of closers out there that are closing right now. And they're making, maybe you're making 10% commission, you're taking your 7-8 sales calls a day. And I've done that. Sasha's done that. We've both been high ticket salespeople, right? And a few years ago in 2021, we made the pivot to actually start a high ticket sales agency where instead of Sasha having to be a closer himself, Sasha built a team of closers underneath him to do all the selling, while Sasha went to find a client who he would charge like 30% commission, pay the closers 10% commission, and Sasha would keep the 20% commission difference, right? So today we just wanted to talk a little bit about the whole sales agency model and why we believe it's like one of the most lucrative blue ocean like opportunities right now by far. And if you're a closer, like you're already in a super great position to actually potentially consider starting your own sales agency because you can just make a lot more money almost doing the same thing you're doing right now. So yeah, welcome, Sasha, welcome.
Thank you. And the number one reason why this makes sense in my mind for everyone who's in the high ticket space to consider as the next step in their career is because think about how much you make if you close $200,000, for example. You make 10%. So what did you just made? You just made $20,000. Great. But on that team, you're not the only closer. There are probably more closers. So let's just say the offer in general is doing 1 million per month, right? So the whole team generated 1 million per month, but you only walked away with 20K. That's great, right? As a first step. But then the next step, in my opinion, should be you leading that team. You eating on every single one of those deals and getting commission for all of those. And that's pretty much what we did when we started our agency. We would bring clients in, we would charge them 30%. And as you can imagine, we take the account to $1 million per month. That's $300,000. And after we pay closers, let's just say 10%, we are left with $200,000. And the most beautiful thing is that I didn't need to take any calls myself personally. Jovan didn't need to take any calls personally. We had the team of closers that were taking calls. And after we paid them, we were left with $100,000 each. Now, the pitch that I just gave you, it's the exact same pitch, almost word by word, Jovan gave me 3 years ago. And when he shared that with me 3.5, 4 years ago, I guess at this point, my reaction was very skeptical. I was like, yes, but that sounds too good. Sounds too easy. I'm sure no one would work with us. I mean, I had more objections than I can ever possibly come from this call. And I'm sure Jovan remembers those objections better than I do. So Jovan, how did that go?
I mean, I remember it was about midway through 2021. And we were kind of already in this, we were doing kind of like call center stuff, right? We were kind of trying to build up like a call center. We were selling like super low ticket, like $20, $50, like things with like our call center. And yeah, I came to you and I said, Sasha, like we're already doing sales for like $50. Why don't we just start a high ticket sales agency and we do sales for like $5,000 or like $10,000 instead of doing $50? And yeah, you pretty much were like, you were very skeptical and you pretty much said like, but like, how are we going to find these clients? Like, why would they hire us when they can just hire salespeople themselves? Like, we don't really have a reputation yet. Like, nobody really knows us. How are we going to sell it for that much? Where are we going to find all these closers? Like, it's already hard enough to find like great salespeople. Like, how are we going to find like a lot of them? Like, any single excuse or objection you had, you pretty much gave it to me to the point where I actually accepted it, right? And so for a while, we didn't actually start a high ticket sales agency because we were just kind of in this kind of just point where we were like, yeah, we weren't 100% sure on it, right? So we didn't actually start a sales agency until probably 4 or 5 months later. 4 or 5 months later, when I literally just went on Instagram, I messaged one person. I asked them, hey, do you need help with your sales? And this is a person who had a high ticket e-commerce coaching program and a course. I literally sent, hey, do you need help with your sales? They responded with yes. We hopped on a call the next day, and that next day they were officially our first high ticket sales agency client. And in the next, I think, 10 weeks, we took them to about $400,000, something around that, $300,000 to $400,000, if I remember correctly. And that was officially the start of our high ticket sales agency. We had no name, we had no brand. All we had was a guy who was willing to message another guy on Instagram, hey, do you need help with your sales? And that was officially the start of our business. So yeah, that's a little bit about the backstory of kind of how that came about.
Yeah, that's how I remember it too. The problem is that I was super skeptical. I was super skeptical because I had all those objections, like you said, and I tend to be very good at convincing people. So I convinced you that I'm right and that you're wrong, and that is not something we should do. It's too hard. But yeah, then again, like you said, it's all about taking action. Even though we had that conversation, it was lingering on your mind, it was lingering on my mind. Like we're still thinking about it. But then the key thing is that you actually took action. And sometimes people think, oh, I don't even know where to start. But it's as simple as sending a DM over Instagram. And we were, of course, incredibly lucky that the first DM you send to the first person you send became our first client. That is just, I mean, it was meant to be, right? But anyway, the point is that if anyone's watching this video and you're thinking about starting your sales agency, that's exactly what I would recommend you to do. Go out there and reach out to people. You might not be as lucky as we were, as Jovan was, to the point that the first person wants to work with you and you end up closing the deal on 30 to 35% commission. But you might reach out to 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 100 people. The goal is to not give up until you get your first yes. And once you get your first yes, that's your foot in the door, and then you can take it from there. And the next thing that I want to talk about is all of those objections that I had and all of those limited beliefs that I had then versus how I view those things now after running the sales agency for a very, very, very long time. Because 3.5, 4 years in this high ticket space is as 20 years in any other industry. I mean, how many of those agencies that you know from 4 years ago are still around today? Not many. I was there 4 years ago and I know. But yeah, the first and the biggest objection that I had was, we have no name. Why would anyone work with us? So Jovan, what kind of problem was that? What kind of problem did we experience with that particular thing in real life?
Like the fact that we had no name, or like the fact that people didn't really even know us. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, the fact that people didn't really know us.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it never actually was a problem. It never actually was a problem because like you saw, like the first time we messaged a person, like we got a client. So like I don't know, like I remember, yeah, we were like questioning like how are we gonna get companies to like actually want to work with us? But here's the reality of the situation, man. So many companies have a problem with their sales. There is only a small fraction of companies, and it's probably less than 5%, that have their sales figured out, that are actually happy about how their sales team is operating, that are happy with how their salespeople are closing, the amount of people they're closing, the average order value they're closing for, right? Most companies are not happy with the results of their sales team. And so that's part of the reason why at the beginning of this call, I said it's such a blue ocean opportunity. It's such a lucrative opportunity because there's almost nobody doing what we're doing, which is offering to do sales for companies. Yes, there's some people that have started in some other companies that have kind of came up in the last couple of years. But when you compare it to the social media marketing agencies or the amount of people that are running web development agencies or advertising agencies, Like for every one sales agency, there's probably like 50,000 advertising agencies. And so the offer to fix someone's sales in their company is actually kind of unique because, like I said, we don't have a lot of competitors. I'm gonna be honest, we haven't had a lot of competitors since we started in 2021, and today there's still not a lot of competitors. I know a few names of companies, like I said, that have came up, and I think they're doing a pretty good job from what I hear. But like it's just like it's just such a wide, big opportunity to the point where even if you have no name, as long as you have an understanding of high ticket sales and you're a decent closer yourself, there's no reason why you can't start getting clients, quoting them 25%, 30% commission, signing that deal with them, and then going out and bringing on closers and paying them 10% to actually do the sales.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. And one of the other reasons why I think we also didn't get that objection is because of our name. I mean, PhoneSales.com just sells. Even
We
though,
have that name now. Keep in mind, we didn't have that when we started, right?
no, we didn't have that when we
Yeah.
started for the first client and the second, I believe. Yeah, after the second client, I think that's where we got the domain. And yeah, after that, I would say whenever we had calls with people, you can really feel that authority shift. It's like people would really feel almost honored that we took our time to talk with them. It was really remarkable. Like I remember at the end of some calls, like I would call you and I would be like, "Yo, did you see the way that guy just like talks with it? He's selling himself. Like we're not selling anything. He
Yeah.
is selling himself to work with us. Crazy."
100%, 100%. No, like our brand, like PhoneSales.com, man, like just our brand alone has brought in like so many clients and it's just closed, like just the brand name itself has closed more clients than I can even think of. It's closed more than like us having to like sell ourselves or like sell our service or blah blah blah. Like just the fact that someone is speaking to PhoneSales.com, it's like you said, they feel honored. It's like they're here to like respect us and like listen and just like receive the gift of speaking to PhoneSales.com. It's really like that, and you can really feel that and see it when you if we rewatch some of our sales calls, you can really see that from the client side.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a really skeptical guy by nature. And if anyone who's watching this is also skeptical, like I almost kind of know what you feel, how you feel like, and what you're thinking, which would be probably the first thought on my mind. Like these guys are over exaggerating, and that's a reasonable assumption to make. But just think about the domain and think about the industry. What's the first thing that you do when you have a problem with your sales team? You go online and you type in phone sales teams. And what's the first thing that pops up? PhoneSales.com. So just by the fact that we were first on top of almost every Google search, it just communicates different level of authority to people. Like, and to this day, I still can't explain it myself. Like I had people hopping on a call with me and saying, "I am so happy you took opportunity to talk with us." And like I still don't like the phone sales, just the name. Like Jovan said, out of two of us, the phone sales is the best closer. And then we can compete for the second spot because it did just the most amount of selling. Like we had people pay over $30,000 over email
Yeah.
because of the phone sales. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we can include that whole email thread somewhere here on the screen. But it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that we actually do a good job makes it so much better because then we get even more referrals and the brand name and reputation actually grows and scales from there. So yes, if you're thinking about going out there and starting your own sales agency, yes, it's absolutely possible to reach out and get clients that way, 100%. But then again, like having a strong name, having something in there to get clients to see you as a point of authority can definitely help, and it's definitely not going to hurt.
Yeah. No, it's like I mean it's 2025, right? And just like you see like all the domains, all the companies now, like nobody has a really good .com anymore. It's really rare. People are using .co's, .ios, .whatever. And if you have a .com and it's like a one word .com, like acquisition.com, people respect acquisition.com. Yeah, it's Alex Hormozy, of course. That alone brings a lot of respect. But the fact he owns acquisition.com, that's a respectable brand. That sounds highly respectable. If you think about Sam Ovens, consulting.com, I've never spoken with Sam Ovens myself, but the fact that his brand is consulting.com, I'm sure that's the same effect. He had the same effect with when he's talking with prospects, the same way that we do when people are talking with PhoneSales.com, because the brand authority is just there. The brand authority is worth like so much, especially when you're working B2B, especially when you're closing big deals that are, 30 grand, 50 grand, etc. So yeah, brand plays a huge part. And like Sasha said, and like I mentioned, yeah, you can still you can be a Joe Blow Schmo and you can still get a client. That's always been the case. That's always going to be the case. But if you have PhoneSales.com, you can get pretty much any client you want.
You can choose. You can pick.
You can choose. Yeah, you can choose. Yeah. You're like the Giga Chad. You're like the Giga Chad. You got like 30 ladies around you, and you just pick like your favorite 5. That's the vibe.
Yes, sir. And it's extremely important not to underestimate the name. Not the name, but the .com domain. That's extremely important because even big companies that start with other domains, as soon as they get the money that they need to get the domain that they want, they upgrade. Think about Close.io. Try to find Close.io. You won't be able to because it's close.com now, right? They started as IO, but then even though they were a huge company at the time, so someone can make a case of like, hey, people know them as Close.io, like no one cares about .com. Well, why did they upgrade? Why did they change the name? Right? It makes a huge difference. So like if you're gonna do this, make sure that your domain communicates whatever you're gonna do. Like PhoneSales.com, it cannot get more clear than that, right? If you're looking for phone sales people.
Yeah.
Acquisition.com can get clearer than that. If you need a CRM, close.com can get clearer than that, right? So you get a lot of authority just by doing things like that. And the fact that phone sales domain, by the way, has been registering like 1998, it says a lot, right? Versus when like they go and people check, trust me, people do check. And they see a domain 2 months old, it's not the same.
Not the same, bro.
Yes, it's not the same. And and that would be my genuine advice to anyone who's thinking getting started in this high ticket space. So to summarize everything so far, you can start even without the name. You can start even without the reputation. There's so many clients out there that like we're really not competing. Yovan said there are some competitors, but I mean, the chances of them taking our clients or us taking them clients, there's so many clients that the chance of that happening, it's very slim. And even if it happens very, very rarely, right? So this space can accommodate for many, many more agencies, many more players without anyone pretty much suffering. It's almost like a blue market. It's a blue ocean. It's almost like SMMA in 2015. It's like webinars in 2017, right? It's still booming. And it's so easy to make work because you don't need to focus on delivery. You don't have to focus on marketing. You have to focus on one thing that you know best if you're a good closer, which is sales, right? So you get a client who has a good product, who has a good service, who is able to put calls on the calendar, like our first client that Jovan mentioned we got. That guy signed up with us so fast because he was getting so many calls. His Calendly was fully booked out like 5 days in advance. He was not running his business. He was not working on the business. He was working in the business too much. So that's why he agreed to the commission that we proposed, because that was just something he needed to do in order for us to move forward and free up his time. And when we hopped on, we literally had full calendar for 2 closers right from the get-go. And that's why we were able to make money right from the get-go. So in the first month of working with them, I believe we closed $200,000 roughly, give or take. If that's not the correct number, I'm going to put an updated number here once I check our stats. But whatever the number is, like we closed a lot and we got 36K, for example, 40K out of that, we paid the closers, and Jovan and I, from our first client, from our first month, walked away with $20,000.
Yeah.
20,000 in 30 days, just getting started, first client. That is freaking insane. And that's why this is so freaking powerful. Then you add 5 closers on that account, and then you get 3 more accounts, and now you're collecting $3 million in revenue per month. And you're taking 25, 30%. You pay your closers, you're left with literally, if you're, let's say 20% on the low end for $3 million, you're left, you have 600K in revenue, you pay your closers 10%, you're left with 300K. $300,000. How many closers do you know out there that are making $300,000 per month? I know some very successful high ticket closers, but I don't know anyone who's making $300,000 per month consistently. But the agencies do. So, yeah.
And the crazy thing is that it's not, it's very similar to what you're already doing as a closer, right? Like you're already closing deals for 8 hours a day, 10% commission. The only nuance here is that instead of you doing the closing, someone else is going to do the closing. You're going to make sure that they're doing a good job. And you're then going to go and invoice the client, not for 10%, like you're used to doing, but for 30%. And then they're going to pay you. You're going to pay your closer, and you're going to keep the rest in your pocket, right? And like one of the when we didn't realize this until later, a little bit later, one of the craziest things about this business model is that one client can make you hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. One client. Like we've taken single client, like several clients, to like $1 million a month or $2 million per month in sales. And we've had like 10, 15 sales people on just one client. And like that alone can bring in so much revenue and so much profit to you personally. And it's not like with the traditional, like if you think about e-commerce, you need like thousands of customers. If you think about regular marketing agencies that are charging like $2,000 or $5,000 per month retainers, you need a lot of clients. Even if you charge $10,000 per month retainer, you still need like 30 clients to get to just $300,000 a month in revenue. We can do that with one client. And that's the crazy thing that we didn't even know until the months went on, and as we started realizing, like, holy shit, this is insane. Obviously, you want to get more than one client. You want to diversify. You want to build out your client base, of course. But I'm just saying, it's still something that it was just a nice surprise in this business model, and we've had a lot of nice surprises actually, which we didn't even know about too with this business model.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of nice surprises. Like another surprise that was really, really nice is to find out that people that have offers for $100,000 and more are still willing to pay 20 to 25% commission for closing those deals, which honestly blew my mind. When I realized that's the case, that's when Jovan and I really focus on ultra high ticket sales, right? Because if you know how to sell a pen, you know how to sell the plane. Like the logic, the concept is the same. The sales process is mostly the same. The difference is what you're selling and to who you're selling it to, right? So if you have qualified prospect on the line, you can sell a $500,000 apartment and take 20% cut on it, which is extremely important. And if you take 20% cut on it, you just now made $100,000. And the big objection that I pretty much had when we were starting this, another objection that was on my mind is like, why would anyone pay that much? Like, why would a company pay 20% or 30% to you when they can hire closers for 10%? And then my other question was, why would closers work with us for 10% when, quite frankly, full transparency, they can go out there, find clients directly, and probably work with them for 12%, 14%, and so on and so forth. That was a big objection that I had, like a big obstacle that I needed to overcome to commit fully to this business model. And after running this agency for years now, I now have a full, clear answer that I wish someone gave me years ago, because I now fully understand why for both sides. So I'm going to explain that to you so you can understand it as well. First, let's look at the client. Why would client pay 20% or 30% for managing a sales team? Even though the way Jovan and I explained it, if you know how to sell, you can go out there and do it, right? You're still going to spend a lot of time doing it. It's not as easy as just setting up everything and then, like lifting your hands and going away. Like Jovan and I are working a lot, and we've been working a lot on this agency in the business as well. So it's not like just something where you make a connection and that's it. That's not really the case. The point is that you have to put in the work. You have to build the systems. You have to manage closes. You have to review calls. You have to do all of those things. And when we started quite early, one of our first clients, he said to me when we were on the call, something I suggest, have weekly calls with your clients. Extremely important to build that relationship. He looked at me and he said, Sasha, like I really much admire you and what you do here. And I was like, well, what do you admire? And he said, I admire the fact that you sit down and you watch 5 call recordings each day yourself. You spend 5 hours plus doing that. I would never be able to do that. To me, it was just normal. Like it was just a natural thing to do, almost a habit, right? So I didn't really think much of it. But when that client said that, it really put things into perspective for me. The things that you as a closer consider normal, I would review my calls when I was a closer, like 3-4 calls per day. Like if I have no shows, I review my calls. My goal is to get better. So for me, that was a second nature. But for that client of mine, he's trying to grow his business. He's not trying to review calls for 5 hours per day, right? Which is what you need to do if you want to maintain the high level of service, if you want to maintain the happy clients and client satisfaction. And when he said that, that put things into perspective for me. There is a lot of work that needs to be done, and that's why it's much more worth it paying a little bit extra, a few percentage extra, to get someone to do that for you, than hiring someone in-house and training them and like going through that long process, which ultimately can work out for the business owner, of course. It's just easier to do this at the beginning. So that's from the client's perspective. And from the closer's perspective, if I had a dime for every closer that came to me and said, Sasha, like the support that you guys offer here at PhoneSales is absolutely incredible, well, I would have a lot of dimes. And that's something that I learned along the way. It's not as easy as you would think to get clients to do what you want them to do. Maybe you experience that as a closer too. It's not as easy to get the support that you need from the clients. It's not as easy to get things updated from the clients because they're doing a lot of things at the same time. So you as a closer now are left wondering half of the time, what are you supposed to do on your own and juggle things that you don't even have full control over because the business owner is not there to support you and help you. And he can help you because he's handling sales and marketing and business and fulfillment and everything. But when there's a sales agency in between, you can kind of like, we act as communicators in a way. We communicate with the client the things that we need to support our closers, and when they use those things to support the needs of our closers. So when clients come to me and they complain of certain things, like I go to closers, I collect what they need, and I forward. So closers don't need to deal with that. When closers come to me and they need certain things from the client, they don't need to reach out individually. I get those things and I relate it to them, right? And I do that fast because it's my number one priority. And for closers, it's easier to reach out to me because they know they're going to get things. For client, it's easier to talk with me directly instead of with 10 other closers. So client wins, closers wins. That's why closers, often when they work with us, they're happy to give up a few percentages up or down because of the level of support that they get and the number of calls they get on their calendar. It makes perfect sense. For clients, the same thing. It makes perfect sense because of the level of support and the amount of work we remove from their plate. That's how I see it. Do you have something to add to that?
No, I think that's really well explained. And one thing you said at the beginning is that it's not just like making a connection and like that's it, you throw your hands up. Like that's why we've been so successful, is because we don't do that. And that's also why I actually I have a lot of people in my network, and I've talked with people who are trying to do a similar business model or the same business model. And I talk with them and I ask them, I'm like, okay, so like, what's your main offer? Like, and how do you work with your clients? How do you do the fulfillment? How do you manage the sales teams? And they're just like, yeah, I get the info from the client and I recruit the closers, and then I just share that information with them. And then I have a weekly call, 1 hour a week with the closers just to check in, and that's it. And and to me, that's just like mind blowing, because if you think that that's going to get you to be able to scale your client's offer to $1 million or $2 million a month, like, you're just delusional. And that's why all these people that are doing it that way, they can charge their clients maybe $2,000 or $3,000 to bring on a few closers, but they're not going to be able to charge 30% commission, let alone actually have that turn into money in their hands, because they're not going to take an offer to $1 million, let alone $500,000, let alone even 200 grand a month, because they just think they can connect the closers to the client's offer and, like, that's it. Like, that's not the case. Like Sasha said, it's a lot of reviewing sales calls. It's a lot of doing things that a sales manager might do, reviewing sales calls, getting assets from the client, getting more testimonials from the client, getting updates made to the websites, which are going to improve the quality of the leads, of the prospects, right? Putting things on the funnel that are going to help with show rates. All those things require a lot of effort. Building out the sales presentations, which is a whole other topic, which we'll probably talk about in another episode. Revamping the offer even, right? Sometimes the offer itself needs to be adjusted. And that also that's a big commitment on the client side. And so it takes someone to communicate why it makes so much sense to actually revamp the offer in XYZ ways, because it's going to make the selling process so much easier and the closing process so much easier. So it's like all these things kind of come into play here. And as an individual closer working for a company, like, you're never going to get those things from your client or from the company that's hired you, because, like Sasha said, they're juggling like a billion different things already.
Absolutely, man. And I want to add one thing to what you said, and it's pretty much that it all comes down to doing the boring work, doing the boring stuff, as Alex Hermosi likes to say. And we also had a call with Alex Hermosi, which you can probably check here or there, discussing sales. So it's a whole different topic, but you can check that out later if you want. The point that I'm trying to make is that it all comes down to the boring work, and I wish I knew that when I started, like, with business 7 years ago. I wish I knew that, because the way I saw things is that everything is a silver bullet. Like, it's always like a genius idea that, like, just drives the business up, and everything it's like, he's lucky he had that idea, or like, he's lucky he had that connection, or it's always like, I always saw it as like a one trick pony, if that makes sense. It's like, you have to be lucky, you have to, like, it's a trick thing. It's not actually doing the boring work thing. But like, now, running multiple businesses over the last couple of years, like, I realized I was wrong there. That's not the right way to look at business. It's just doing the boring work. Everyone can get few closers and connect them to clients. That's easy. But not everyone can review 5 calls per day. Not everyone can build presentations. Not everyone can revamp the offer. Not everyone can communicate properly between closers and clients and relay all the information and lead the meetings and hire and train and manage. Not everyone can do that. And that's boring work, right? That's actually just boring. But that needs to be done. And then once you do that, you can level up to the next step, which is something that Joan and I did. Like, once we got to the point that we were like, okay, like, now we're making money, but we're still in the business. Like, before we were closers, or we had closers, and then we kind of outsource, and we were the ones managing that. Now we needed to even outsource the management. So what did we do? We started bringing on partners, like phone sales partners, which would pretty much be people that we know can deliver good work. And then we would give them control over the sales team, control over the client communication, control over the management side of business for the piece of the cake, right? They would get they would get the cut of the profit. And it makes sense for them, because instead of going out there and building their whole agency from the scratch, they get all of the systems, support, everything that we built over the years handed to them. And it made sense for us, because instead of us doing it, now we were the business owners, right? Now we needed to get our time back. So now, instead of us working in the business, we had them work in the business, so we can work on the business and bring even more partners and bring even more clients and scale the business even to the next level. So those are the things that you need to consider if you want to start this agency. Like, I don't want you to think like agency is gonna free up all of your time. Like you're gonna now get 8 hours back, and you're gonna go sip pina coladas on the beach and just do crazy things all day long and have unlimited money glitch just printing to your account. It's not gonna be like that. You're one step away, right? The next step is getting partners and getting managers and getting managing partners to manage things for you so you can step away. And then you have two choices: try to scale it even bigger, or do the infinite money glitch then, which is something Johan and I both did for a couple of months. It's nice to experience it, but as everything in life, it loses its flair after a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said, man. Well said. And yeah, yeah, it's like when you start, and probably for a couple years, it's, yeah, like you really got to be in it. You really got to learn the ropes, right? You got to learn the ropes. Once you learn the ropes, and then you start bringing on sales managers, partners, even, then you're entering to the, okay, this is an unlimited money glitch. Because yeah, like for the last year and a half, I've just been living on this like super small island in Thailand, and I would open up my laptop and I would work like 5 to 10 hours like a week, and like that's like, yeah, I just like was in a position where it's like everything was just like running, and I was kind of just like stepping back, and all of a sudden I'm just like opening up my screen when I feel like I want to, and I would do my things. But the point is that like you can really build this up to a point where you have managers, people underneath you that are going to be running the teams, from dealing with your clients, all that sort of stuff. So you really can take a step back, and just kind of take a break, right? Take a break. And then when you want to, you can come back and see if you can grow it even more, or perhaps even build towards potentially an exit in the future. So you have options. You definitely have options. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I took the similar approach. Like from the beginning of this year until a few months ago, I was traveling all over the world. I've been to over 20 countries. It was amazing. I had a blast, but I decided to come back. That's the thing. That's the flair that I talked about. It's
Yeah.
like, it's great. You're working your whole life towards it. You think that's what you want. But then once you get that, you realize that you actually have higher ambitions, if that makes sense. So that's why I came back, and that's why you came back.
Same,
So
yeah.
I think we should talk about the next steps. Like, why are we here? Why are we posting videos again? Why are we talking about phone sales again? Why are we talking about the sales agencies again? Like, what is the next step?
Yeah, man, great question, and I think we should get into that now. And just so you guys know, like me and Sasha, like we're not into social media. Like we don't care if we have followers. We don't care if you know about us or not. We've always built phone sales from a perspective of let's build the company and like not our personal brands, because we don't care to be known. We care that our company is known. Like for example, Nike, Adidas. Do you know who the founders are? Probably not, but you know the brand, and so that's always been our focus. The reason we're back now, and the reason we're going to be we have a lot more content coming up, is because we actually have a really exciting news and a really exciting opportunity for people that are actually looking to or considering to potentially start their own sales agency. So yeah, we can share a bit more about that. But once again, this is for people who have sales experience. This business model, it's perfect for people that have already been in the high ticket space for some while. This is perfect for closers who are good at closing, and you kind of want to take the next step. Like you kind of want to like 10x your income or like 50x your income, and you're not sure how to do it. This is the way to do it. Okay. And yeah, so pretty much we've launched a franchise program. So we have the phone sales franchise where pretty much closers can come on board, and you guys can start your very own phone sales agencies. Um, Sasha, maybe you can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. The point of that program is to bring this opportunity to more people. When Jovan and I started years ago, we didn't have that opportunity. And to be quite frank with you, if someone came to me and was like, hey, listen, I'll give you everything you need. You don't have to build anything. and I'll coach you and help you scale your agency. And all I'm asking in return is 10% of profit. I would be I'd be jumping all over that offer because it made sense. My biggest concern was that there's so many things to do and so much things to build, and I had so many objections of like, will we be getting clients, and like all kinds of stuff was on my mind that like if that was presented to me, I would just grab it, right? But no one was there. No one was there to present that as an opportunity. So that's why we build everything ourselves. And now when we finally have everything built, the way we see this phone sales agency, phone sales company, PhoneSales.com scaling to the even next level is not necessarily with more partners that we bring inside of the business. It's with us giving the piece of this business to more people. So you guys, if you're a good closer, if you're a good closer, can scale this with us to the next level. The point of the agency is that um, the point of the franchise is very simple. If you know how to sell, if you're good at what you do, but you're not necessarily confident in going out there yourself and getting clients without any instructions, you're not necessarily confident to building systems, you're not necessarily confident in your ability to go out there and find closers, we can help with all of that. We have a software with over 1,000 plus interviewed, verified high ticket closers. When I say verified, that means they're verified to work with us. We have our own internal HR system and HR team that verifies every single person that comes to our company. They are interviewed, and if they pass the test, they can then get into our system. We have that, right? So closers piece is figured out. We have the brand name and the recognition. So when we need to get the clients, it's as easy as getting out there, sending 10 DMs, or posting in a Facebook group. Clients are there. So now the closers are there, the clients are there. What's in between? The systems and processes. And that's also something that we have built in-house. We have a lot of in-house apps that we built and developed. You can't find this anywhere else, and we don't sell them. They're built specifically for the purpose of running the sales agency. We have all of the billing systems and everything else structured in the best possible way for us to run it, right? So that's why it's going to work for anyone else who's using it. And the last but not least, the thing that a lot of people overlook in this space, legal. We have the legal figure out too. All the contracts, everything needs to be dialed in. You don't want to just start this without any knowledge of how the contracts work. And if you want to hire a lawyer, well, I'll tell you this: we spend over 30K on the lawyers just for the initial most important contracts, which is client contract, closer contract, and setter contract, and all of those other smaller roles. Now, the thing is that if you're a good high ticket closer, and if you're interested in starting your own agency, you have two options: go out there on your own. And by no means am I going to ever be the guy who's going to tell you you can't do it. You'll probably do it. You'll probably succeed if you're good and you know what you're doing. The difference is the time frame, right? Instead of you taking 4 or 5 years to build what we build, or maybe 10 because it's Yovan and I, so it's like times 2, right? You can have all of that ready for you to go, pretty much served on a silver plate. And that's the next step in the phone sales evolution of the PhoneSales.com.
Yeah, man. Well said. Well said. Yeah, that's a really good overview. And yeah, it's like you said, we've already figured everything out. That we figured everything that there is to figure out. We've built every single system that's possibly needed to run a phone sales agency. Everything from the hiring to the client acquisition to the in-betweens of the CRMs and the tech support and the billing systems and the payroll, which is a huge thing, commission tracking, all that stuff. We've figured it out. We've built softwares that automate almost all of it, and we just have the infrastructure that nobody else has. And so yeah, we're willing to give it all away, and we're looking for partners. We're looking for franchise partners, people that want to come on as franchisees, and start your own phone sales agency. And you'll get everything. You'll get the brand. You'll get the systems. You'll officially own your own phone sales agency. And this is going to be the next step for a lot of closers who are good at closing and perhaps you've kind of at this point figured out that instead of getting paid 10% on everything you close, you can get 30% of everything that 30 people underneath you close, and that's just a much better way of much better way of being involved in the sales space is by doing it that way. So yeah, if you guys are interested, you can head on over to PhoneSales.com /franchise. Or you can look for the franchise section on our website, PhoneSales.com. And yeah, you can click on that, and that was going to show you a video with some more information, and then you can just follow it for all the next steps.
Exactly. And one last thing to say is that even if you're not necessarily interested in partnering up, but you want to start your own sales agency, I highly recommend you subscribe or follow or whatever you need to do on the platform that you're on to stay up to date with the latest videos that we're going to post over the next couple of months, because our goal here is not just to get as many people as possible to join our franchise opportunity. Our goal is to grow this industry because we're really, really passionate about this industry and the opportunity. So we will be sharing immense amount of value over the next couple of months on how to run your own sales agency, from things that you know that are important like CRMs, managing closes, reviewing calls, to things that would never even cross your mind. For example, why don't you want to have testimonials from your clients on your website? Sounds like something you should have, right? But you shouldn't. We can post 40 testimonials if we want, and we have them in our private folders, which we send if needed, but not all of them. There's a good reason for that in this industry. And we're going to talk about that and many, many, many more things in the videos to come over the next couple of weeks and couple of months. So you better subscribe and follow.
Yeah, subscribe. Everything will go on YouTube. We'll see if we can get this up on a podcast, but it'll definitely go up on YouTube. And yeah, like Sasha said, we're gonna show you how to run a sales agency. We'll teach you a lot about it, and then it's up to you to decide. Like, do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to just get in and work with us and just have the shortcut of like 10 years, pretty much shortened down to like right now, right? Because that's what the franchise is. It's literally taking 10 years, shortening it down, getting access to everything, and just hitting the ground running, right? So that in like a month from now and 2 months from now, your business is like already booming, right? That's kind of the idea. So
exactly. So
yeah.
guys, go out there, close your deals, and I hope these are going to be the last few deals that you have to close personally, because hopefully soon you're going to be running your own high ticket sales agency.
Boom. Thank you guys. Peace.